Hey everybody, welcome to the inaugural and probably only edition of hashtag EOM Film Room. I am your host, EOM, and this is my Christian McCaffrey hate vid. So I'm making this not because I literally personally hate Christian McCaffrey, but I think maybe he's a little bit overrated, by basically everyone. I mean, everyone loves him. I'm hearing top 10 pick, first round. I'm hearing he's the best running back in the class. All the big names in fantasy love him. Scott Barrett, of course. Elvin Silva. There was a couple guys on a pod I heard the other night. They loved him. Basically, everybody loves him. And, myself, I'm just not that excited about him. I think he's a good player in a great situation, and much like Joe Montana was a good player in a great situation, and much like Joe, I think he's a little overrated. I understand that since absolutely everyone loves him, I am probably an idiot, and maybe around week 2 or something like that of the season, I'll probably have to scrub this video off the internet and delete my account. So if you want to mock me, you better do it before the season starts. Just so I get the record straight, on my resume, I've never seen a college game in my life. I've never done any scouting of any kind. I've never been part of any kind of football organization, but I've seen a bunch of YouTube clips and I have a lot of opinions, so that's where we're at on that. I think a lot of people basically saw the production from a couple of years ago. He had a big year, right? I think he broke Barry Sanders' all-purpose yardage record or something like that. I think that got everybody's attention. He had a big bowl game that year. And people looked at that, and then this year they looked, at YouTube clips, and I think there was a lot of confirmation bias going on where they were already hyping him for a year. They saw, what they were looking for, and they just, without that production, I think from a couple of years ago, I'm not sure if he'd be getting hyped right now like he is. And I mean, to put it in perspective, I just want to give it a little context, right? I just want to give some stats, some context, because you need context for all stats, right? He picked up a lot of yardage on returns, which is good for him. He's very versatile. It's a great record. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I just want to look at him as a runner in this vid. That's what I'm just going to look at him as a runner. I know he catches balls, which is great. I mean, James White, the GOAT, catches balls. I don't need to draft him in the first round. Bilal Powell catches balls. But, if you catch a lot of balls and you return a lot of kicks and you put up 2,000 yards rushing, yeah, well, that's how you break the record. I mean, which is great. Nobody else broke the record. He broke it. 2,000 yards is still, awesome on the ground, right? But just to, put things in perspective, and no one's saying he's Barry Sanders, I understand. But Barry Sanders, I think, ran for like 2,700 yards in only 11 games. Christian McCaffrey ran for 2,000 yards, and he did it in 14 games. So, as far as just actual rushing production, there's a huge, huge gulf there. I mean, it's not in the same ballpark. But, the total yardage is excellent. The problem is I'm not, the Miami Dolphins. I'm not looking to draft a kick returner in the first round. I'd rather draft, like some backup cornerback to return kicks and then steal away Dave Taub, the GOAT, or something like that, and get my kick return production that way. I mean, if you're looking at just rushing production, I don't know if people are really aware of Danny Woodhead, the GOAT's college production, but he broke records. You know, he tore up the record books in college. He put up Barry Sanders numbers. He rushed for like 2,700 yards one year in 12 games, I think. I should have probably took notes on that when I looked it up. But, nobody cares, right? Everybody's probably saying, you're an idiot. That's Division II. Who gives a shit? Obviously, NFL doesn't. He was undrafted. I'm sure nobody was touting him for fantasy. Nobody was drafting him in Dynasty, at least early. And that's all valid, right? And my point is that, people see this sort of a line of demarcation between Division I, Division II. They have no problem with that. So they say, well, opponent matters. None of these defenders in Division II are going to the NFL. So who cares if you put up 2,700 yards? Now, I mean, it's not like guys are doing that every year in Division II. So give the guy a little credit. But, in the big picture, it's kind of hollow production, right? But then they look at Division I and they think just all Division I is the same. Like, nobody cares about strength of schedule. Nobody cares about opponent. They just look at production in Division I. I mean, there's a big difference, though, between Alabama and some of these crap-ass Pac-12 defenses that McCaffrey faces. Alabama's a freak defense, and McCaffrey doesn't have to worry about SEC defenses. He doesn't have to worry about Big Ten. He gets his stats inflated a little bit, I think, from playing in the Pac-12. Like, if you look at his backup, Bryce Love, right? He only had 100 carries, so it's a small sample, right? And these weren't all like third and long carries. He had a couple games all to himself. He did pretty good against decent teams. Bryce Love, right, had like 7.1 yards per carry this past year compared to Christian McCaffrey's 6.3 yards per carry. Now, I'm not saying Bryce Love. I'm not making a case that he's better than McCaffrey. I'm just saying on a small sample, it's a little noisy, it's yards per carry, but on a small sample, he doesn't seem to be any worse than McCaffrey in that offense against that crappy Pac-12 schedule, right? And, what are the odds that they have two top 10 worthy, picks running the football for them? I think it's more likely that being in the Stanford offense against a Pac-12 schedule is going to inflate your production. Just like Stephon Taylor and Tyler Gaffney, who preceded McCaffrey. Those guys ran for like 1,600 yards. And they were, fifth round picks or something like that. I don't think either one of them's in the league. Never made it in the NFL, really. But they were productive. They were productive at Stanford, running the ball in the Pac-12, just like McCaffrey was very productive. All right, so I just wanted to set the table a little bit on that. Let's get right into it. This is hashtag EOM film, not hashtag EOM stats class, right? But, at the end of this, I'm going to go over a few specifics on his schedule with some numbers and stuff for you guys to look at. So I picked Kansas State for this. We're just going to buzz through Kansas State game. That's all it's going to be is Kansas State. So I picked Kansas State because it is maybe the best, or it's one of the better defenses on his crappy schedule. And I wanted to kind of, see what he could do as far as, one of the more challenging games. We're not going to look at like returns or anything like that. I have no way of evaluating a return. And I'm just going to run through the play at half speed, and then I'll bring it back with the Haydestrator and, get my points in there. And the early plays will probably drag out. I'll get all my talking points in early. And then the later plays, we'll buzz through pretty quick. So don't feel like halfway through this, that you need to kill yourself or anything like that, because the second half should move along a little quicker, hopefully. I I thought this was going to be like a 15-minute vid, but I guess, that's not looking too likely right now. All right, so here's the first play. All right, let me interrupt real quick. This guy right here, okay, he is listed at 5'9", 160 pounds, coming in from the secondary here to fill this hole. All right, so McCaffrey just got murked by Bilbo Baggins. There's not going to be any 160-pound dudes in the NFL, right? I understand there's not much room to run there. He filled the hole. If that was an average running back, I wouldn't care. I mean, I'm not beating him up on that. But he's supposed to be elite. He's supposed to be the best running back in the class. Fournette would have run that dude over, right? Let's look at this again here. We'll bring it back. We'll bring it back. We'll bring it back. All right, so here he is. Now, look at this. Look at this. Let me reset the offensive line. Okay, here's the offensive line at 35. Well, oh my God, I put it all the way back. I really am an idiot. What did I just do? All right. So, here's the offensive line, right? They're like at the 35-yard line. So watch the push they get. I mean, they're like 3 yards deep into the defense. Look at the open space right here. Okay. Nice. Look, he's being patient, which is nice. He's letting the hole open up, which is great and everything. He's not, running up into the back of his lineman like Trent Richardson would do. And he runs through this hole. But, I mean, anybody can make this play. I could make this run. This little dude would crush me, but I could make this run. This guy hits him right here. First contact, tag goes down, tackle. I mean, Leonard Fournette would run this guy over, right? That dude from Pitt, who I'm not even pimping for the pros, he would smash this little dude, and Foreman would not even know he's getting tackled by this guy. Foreman would, get in his car, drive home, and this little guy would be still hanging off of him. I mean, a lot of plays there's going to be defenders all blocked by your blockers, and there's going to be one free guy coming from the secondary or wherever to fill the hole, and it's kind of the running back's job to make that guy miss or break that tackle. And so I'm not claiming he didn't do his job here, but if you're elite, you'd like to see a guy break a tackle. I mean, he's going to get 7 yards or something in his stat line for this play. And, I just don't think he really did anything here. All right, let's go to the next play. That was enough on that. All right. Is this the next one? I feel like I missed something here. All right, here's the next play. He is a receiver. He's up here on this play. So we're just going to kind of buzz through this. There's not much to see here. And I don't know how exciting this is. But again, he goes down. Tackled right there. So here's a play coming up that I want to spend a little more time on. This is not in any way a Graham Barfield hate vid. This is Christian McCaffrey hate vid. So I've got a Graham Barfield tweet up here, though. Hopefully you can read that if you get the full screen. And this is an 8-in-the-box stats he came up with. So a couple of years ago, I want to say it was Mike Clay when he was back at PFF. I think. Hopefully, I got the right cred on that. He was doing a series of articles annually, look back at the previous year, and he would, tally up the 8 in the box stats, how the guy did against 8 in the box. I mean, for the pros, right, for the NFL. And it was super, super awesome. I really liked it, and that's why I like PFF, because they do a lot of stuff like that where they, you generally see people just throw out stats like yards per carry, yards, touchdowns, and they don't really account for personnel and scheme, which coaches obviously put a lot of work into personnel and scheme, and it makes a big difference in football, but people just kind of discount that. Whereas Mike Clay went in and did something that I think, you don't normally see in analysis, and he accounted for scheme, and it was very interesting. But one thing that kind of stuck out was that Frank Gore was at the top of the list, or he was near the top of the list. He was prominent on that list. And I'm like a Frank Gore. A couple of years ago, I was, when he went to Indy, I was a Frank Gore evangelist. I mean, I did a whole bunch of research on old running backs, and I put together a whole big thing. And I was, just like badgering everyone about Frank Gore. So I like Frank Gore, but I mean, is he Adrian Peterson where, these guys are just stuffing the box to stop Frank Gore? No, he's not. He's not that caliber, let's say. And I think when people hear 8 in the box, that's what they think of. They think of, Adrian Peterson must be stopped. We're going to stuff the box. We're going to bring the safety down. That's the 8th guy usually, right? But really, the reason Frank Gore is facing 8 box is because of the offensive personnel packages and the formations they use. So at the time, right, he's in the Niners with Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh came from Stanford, and he brought in that, what's his name, who went to Buffalo as his offensive coordinator. And they're running like all these crazy ass running packages. If you watch one of those games, the announcers would be going on and on about it, about all the exotic smash mouth formations or whatever they use. So they use a fullback a lot. They use 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. They use extra linemen. Well, Stanford, and I don't, like I said, I don't watch any college football, so I don't know what they're doing now. But Stanford's kind of like, well known for using offensive linemen and heavy packages and all the rest of it, right? So if you have extra blockers in, the defense is going to have extra guys in, but you have extra blockers to account for those defenders. So I think these 8 in the box stats need some context. You got to bear that in mind. It's not just that it's tougher for that guy. Like if it was that much tougher to run against 8 in the box, on running plays, you would never use a fullback. You would never use an an extra offensive lineman. You wouldn't have blocking tight ends. You would have like 4 wide as your base running plays. And coaches don't do that, right? You put in fullbacks. You put in extra linemen. You put in blocking tight ends to benefit the runner, to make, to run the running play. And that is going to produce 8 defenders in the box a lot of the time. So it's not that 8 in the box is like so insurmountable. It's just an indication that you have like a heavy package in, and that your blockers are going to benefit the runner. So here's a look. Here's the thing. You can read the tweets, hopefully. Here's a look at the defenders. Here's, all these guys up in this box here. Right? And then we'll watch the play, and then we're going to see it from a different angle. And we can look at the offense a little closer. All right, here we go. All right, here's a better angle of the offense so you can see what's going on here, right? They got 7 guys on the line and then the fullback. I mean, these 7 guys, these aren't blocking tight ends on the ends. These are like all these 7 guys here, right? these are all 300-pound offensive linemen. So they bring in 2 extra offensive linemen. You know, one's basically a tight end, and one is this guy over here. They call him the Ogre, and he is like a second big fat fullback, like a 300-pound fullback, right? So you've got all these blockers, 7 300-pound dudes, and the normal fullback. Yeah, you got extra guys in the box, but, you know, one of them's a 200-pound safety. You know, a couple of these guys, 2 or 3 of these guys are 220-pound linebackers who are going to get blocked by 300-pound offensive linemen. And this is Kansas State, right? This is probably the best defense on his schedule. I have no idea, you know, what the situation is with, you know, the linebackers on Oregon State, Cal, any of those schools that have like terrible, terrible defenses. I mean, those guys could be like 200-pound linebackers. I have no idea, but they're not going to the pros probably because their defense is like the worst in football, in college football. Right? So, I mean, a 300-pound offensive lineman versus a 220-pound linebacker, who do you think wins that? I'm just trying to say that, you know, just because there's 8 guys in the box, that needs context. You know, you gotta try to consider the offensive personnel. He's got all these blockers that's supposed to help him, not hinder him because there's like an extra safety in the box or whatever. All right, so we can watch this from a different angle here. I should have probably clipped that out. There we go. And this pitch back. Now this dude over here, 22, that's Dante Barrett, safety. He's going to come make that tackle. You're going to see more of him later on. He's like McCaffrey's nemesis apparently in this game. All right, let's just go to the next play. Let's go on to this play here. Here he goes. Runs through here. Here's a nice little run. And he gets pushed out of bounds. I don't have much to say about that. Maybe we can make up some time here. We'll go to the next play. And here he goes up the middle here. Not much room to run. Swarmed. Okay, apparently all my little things here got shifted back 1 frame for some reason. So basically these are going to be the defenders, these X's, and then these guys are 2 blocking tight ends and the fullback. So we'll just go to the next frame here. Alright, here they are. So here's all the defenders again, just to underline that point about the 8 in the box. Here's a bunch of guys here. They have a bunch of defenders in the box because they got these guys, extra blockers. He's got a lot of extra blockers, right? On Stanford, that's the offense they run. It's not actually as much in this particular game as I thought. I thought it would be like every other play. But I watched, I kind of buzzed through a little, like Oregon on YouTube, and there was actually quite a bit more than I think in this particular game. All right, let's watch this guy. What was this? Play 6. He's not going anywhere there. I mean, so far been pretty much tackled pretty easily, I think. He hasn't. I wouldn't say he's really broken any tackles at this point. And let's watch this. Up the middle again. Gets 1 yard or thereabouts. Taken down. Here we're going to see 22 again this next play coming up. 22 is going to get him, spoiler alert. Up the middle there. Gets nothing. Alright, so here's 22 up at the top here, right here. So here's all these guys in the box again, you know, because they have one guy right here, right out wide, and then just like the whole rest of the team is right in here. So of course they're going to have more guys in the box. They don't take it to, you know, a linebacker out for nickel defend, you know, nickel back. So they have your defensive box, but I mean, it's because it's a much heavier offensive formation. So I don't, you know, I'm not so sure those 8 in the box stats are that exciting out of context, right? All right, so here again we've got, I believe this is the ogre they've got with all these guys are offensive linemen, big fat 300-pound dudes. And they direct snap it to McCaffrey. This is the, what do they call this? I forget what they call this. The wild McCaff or something like that. Here's another angle, and you can see they've got the 7 big fat dudes out here, right? Which should be an advantage for the runner, not for the defenders. That's why they do it. I don't care about 8 in the box, but he gets this 22 runs around here and gets him. All right, here is going to be a short little kind of dump off, I think, over the middle. And we're going to see 22 again, I believe. There he is, coming in for the hit. Here's McCaffrey. Not doing all that much exciting, I don't think, frankly. This is going to be kind of plow into the line here. And he's tackled again. I mean, you know, he is honestly, you know, he weighs about the same as Danny Woodhead, right? Danny Woodhead is shorter, obviously. McCaffrey's a few inches taller, but, you know, I don't think that's a benefit. I think it's a benefit to be shorter at the same weight. He's like Danny Woodhead's size. So far, I don't think he's broken one tackle this whole game. Coming up, you know, he's going to make a couple guys miss. But, you know, in the NFL, he's going to have grown men tackling him. And I just don't see him, you know, doing much without big holes. I think he gets a lot of production from long runs through big college holes. Here's a play where he just kind of doesn't get much. Runs up here. Oh, wait a minute. What run was that? I'm on the wrong play. This is the... Alright, let's go back and look at that one again. So, yeah, I thought I was on 11. I guess this is 12 because I'm an idiot. Alright, so here he makes a nice little juke. Just as I was saying, he can't make a guy miss. Makes this guy miss. But, you know, there's some bad tackling in the NFL. He'll make a few guys miss, but really in the NFL there's also a lot of good defenders. So, I mean, you know, I give the guy credit for making, you know, a good play and everything, but I'm not drafting him in the first round because of that. All right, so on to the next play. Yeah, this play does all right. Gets through traffic there, and some guy just tackles him. Takes him from behind, so to speak. You know, again, you know, he's going to make a couple guys miss, but he just doesn't break tackles. This is going to be a long touchdown run here. So let's watch this. Now, here he gets the ball. He's going to run through this hole. Some nice blocking. He makes this guy miss right here. That's a nice play. And you know what I should do is, honestly, let's go back. Let me go back here. I'm going to play at full speed. Let's watch that full speed. Just to give the guy a little credit. So you can see him make this guy miss. Whoop. There you go. That's pretty nice there. And runs it in for touchdown. We'll see that again. Different angle. Oh, wait a minute. Here he goes. Wait a minute. What the hell? Oh my God. This freaking... Oh my God. What did I just do? All right. Now let's look at this. I got that fixed. There we go. Here it is again. Breaks this guy's ankles. Nice little move there. Catches the ball. Oh, wait a minute. I had an Edelman clip in there. That's right. That was Julian Edelman, the GOAT. You know, that just made that guy fall down. Who was drafted, incidentally, I think in like the 7th round. Okay, he wasn't drafted in the 1st round. He was drafted in the 7th round. So congratulations on making a guy miss. All right, let's watch this from a different angle here. It's a touchdown run. We're going to see it from this angle here. Runs over here. Here he comes. All right. So this is like a typical college hole, basically. Sometimes they're bigger. Depends on the opponent. You know, everybody's getting drafted, benefits from some of these college holes. You know, I could run through that right here. I mean, I'm not beating the guy up. But look, when we had, I think it was Jonas Gray, right, on the Patriots. I got the right guy. He ran for 200 yards against Indy one year. You know, we had Cam Fleming we drafted from Stanford as a lineman, right? And we used him that, you know, against Indy as a 6th offensive lineman, or big fat tight end, right? And we used him like on just about every Jonas Gray run. Cam Fleming was out there as a 6th offensive lineman. Like he probably was at Stanford. And Jonas Gray, like 200 yards, right? Who's, you know, I think that guy might be out of football now. So the next year, I want to say, if I remember this right, you know, in preseason, he busted off, like maybe in the first preseason game, he busted off like a 70-yard or something touchdown run. And everybody in fantasy is like, oh, you know, his first round too early for Jonas Gray, blah, blah, right? So people asked Belichick about that run. They, you know, asking him, is this Jonas Gray the greatest running back you've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. And Belichick got kind of annoyed, and which is why Belichick is awesome, and one reason I love him. And he said, well, you know what? That play was blocked really well, and it was schemed, you know, really well. And Jonas Gray basically was doing his job, and he should have made that play. That's what he should have done, because, you know, the rest of the team around him were doing their jobs. And I think on that play, the blockers had sealed off the right side of the line, I think, and he just basically ran around untouched and ran 7 yards for a touchdown because, you know, great blocking. And again, you can see they create a lane for McCaffrey, and he sees it. I mean, you know, I think pretty much any running back getting drafted would see that. Maybe Trent Richardson wouldn't, But most running backs would be able to see this, giant freaking gaping hole and run through it. Now he makes this guy miss, so give him credit. I'll give him credit. I'm not saying he's terrible, right? I'm just saying, is it like Dalvin Cook or whatever can't make that guy miss, or Fournette can't run through that guy? So he just runs down here for the touch. It's like he makes one big run here for a touchdown, so that's great and everything. Okay, here he gets stuffed, it looks like. There we go. No hole, so he gets stuffed here. This looks like this bled through a frame or something for some reason. He's going to be a receiver in this play. A little dump off. He gets tackled immediately. First contact. I don't think he's broken a tackle again all game. They're going to split him out. Next play here, they're going to split him out. And he makes a catch. Look at the little spin here. Makes that guy miss. Good for him. So he makes a play there. Gets swarmed. Here it is from another angle. Get the can watch this spin move a couple more times there. So that's part of his game where, I know a lot of people elevate him in the draft because he can catch balls. There's other running backs that can catch balls. I don't know if there's a lot that they split out wide, but, that's nice. I would rather have the guy as a runner first if I'm drafting him in the first round. I'd rather have an elite runner. And if he can catch balls, that's gravy. All right, here. There's a little dump off behind the line. I think. Yeah, here it is. And he gets smashed. And these are college kids smashing him every play. Wait till he meets some grown NFL men. What play is this? I think all my little play numbers are off. All right, here there's going to be a mistake by somebody here because there's an unblocked defender. Runs in here, and the handoff is muffed, and that's whole play is a train wreck, which is it's like nothing to do with him. We're going to see another angle on that after this guy runs over here. I think he steps out of bounds, but who cares? Oh my God, hurry up. You know what? Alright, we'll see that play from a different angle. Here's the other angle. You can see the handoff there is muffed. This is like kind of a relevant play here, I think. For evaluating McCaffrey. So here's the next play. And he doesn't get anything. Some guy finger tackles him at the line. Let's look at the next play. Split him out. Look at this real quick. Which apparently my computer is running exceptionally slow right now for some reason. So sorry about that. Alright, hopefully this runs a little better. I closed out a couple things. There he is, tackled immediately, as always, on that pass play. So, he's going to make a couple yards in this play right here. Let's through that little hole there. Arm tackled. First contact, as usual. Look at that again, I guess. Why not? Alright, so there he is. They create a lane. He runs through there. Right there. And this guy reaches out and grabs him by the leg. Alright, so this is going to be not too exciting. Oh my god, what is going on with this? Alright. Oh my god, this is not working. Alright, I think I fixed that. Let's see if I get it working now. Here he is. He's going to make a guy miss, I believe. This guy here. And he gets taken down immediately by this other guy. Now he's going to get hit behind the line, I believe, by this guy. This guy. Right there. Let's watch this next play here. I think this is another one where he gets hit behind the line, and we're going to see a different angle at the end of this. Gets arm tackled by this guy. As usual. Again, he's made a couple guys miss in this game, but I don't think he's broken a tackle, actually. And here's a different look. Different angle. And by the way, we're getting very close to the end. There's only a few more plays. I had to get through this a little quick, but this kind of dragged out longer than I thought it would. Alright, so this play here is once again another ogre formation. You can see all these guys here. I got them dotted so you can, count them up if you want. There's another 7 offensive linemen out here. It's going to be another pitch, but this play is not going to go anywhere. Right here, he's going to get tackled. Alright, now we're going to see a direct snap. But this play is not going to go anywhere with the old wild McCaffrey, or whatever they call it. There's some defenders there tackling him. He's going to be split out this next play. See him do a little receiving here. Split out. And they throw it to him behind the line, and he gets tackled immediately. So this play here, this is going to be the final play. Thank God, right? This is going to be a long touchdown run. And if you take a look at the formation they're running here, they've got basically, this is their entire look. This is their entire offense. There are no receivers. Everyone's blocking except for the quarterback, basically. You get a fullback. You've got like 8 guys on the line. Quarterback is 9, 10, 11 guys. So this is the defense. Of course, there's a lot of guys in the box, but I mean, you've got like, I think this is like 8 300-pound off. These are all offensive linemen. You've got like 8 of these big fat dudes in here. Okay, so we'll watch this. Watch this play right here, and then we'll see it from another angle. There he goes. Nobody in the secondary because everybody's up at the line because there are no receivers. So once you get through the line, once you get past the linebackers, that's it. There's nobody back there to tackle you. So, all right. Here are the 8 fat dudes. These guys are like 300-pound linemen matched up against some defensive linemen, but then some 220-pound linebackers. This screen cap I got in here, if this looks familiar here, this is the same thing you got. This is the entire offense. This is the entire defense you're seeing in this picture. You've got 8 offensive linemen. This was a game he played against Oregon. He ran for a 60-yard touchdown in this game, because they ripped open a hole, I think it was down here in the side of the line. They blocked these guys, made a lane for him. He ran through the hole. And once you get past the linebackers, there's no one for 60 yards of open field. He just ran through the hole and he ran 60 yards for a touchdown, which is not to take anything away, but I mean, that pads his stats. You're not going to see a formation like this in professional football. And, there's a lot of guys that are getting drafted that can run through a hole and then just run 60 yards down the field. I mean, that's a tremendous stat pattern. But, all right, let's look at this. Let's look at this actual play here. First, Kansas State. So here's the other angle. All right, right here, this is another one of these college holes that, you can't live off of long runs in the pros, like, unless maybe you're Chris Johnson, and he's not Chris Johnson. You're just not going to get a lot of long runs in the pros to pad your stats like you can in college. I mean, you can rip these holes open in college. Anybody can run through here. Anybody who's getting drafted can run through here. I could run through here. I wouldn't be able to probably run as far as the end zone because that looks pretty far away. But a college athlete could, I mean, look at this. Runs through here. Runs down here. This is a 40-yard touchdown play. So we had a 35-yarder where he actually made a guy miss. And then he had this 40-yard, it's like it's like 2 minutes left in the game. Salt the game away here. 40-yard touchdown run with 8 offensive linemen in the game. So we'll look at a couple stats here. Kansas State, right? I picked them because they're maybe the better defense on his schedule, right? So are they Alabama? Did I stack the deck? Did I pick a team you can't run on? Are they that good, right? Well, here are a bunch of teams that Kansas State played. Now, I listed the school here. That's just because I never heard of any of these guys. So this is the main runner. This is not total rushing yardage. This is just the main runner, but I just put the school because, like I said, I'd never heard of any of these guys. I don't watch college football. So this is the main runner got these 18 carries, 100 yards, 5.8 yards per carry. This guy got this. Joe Mixon, who I heard of, got this production against Kansas State. Foreman, who I heard of, got this production almost identical. This is like what McCaffrey got in this game. Okay. Maybe Donta Foreman got 2 long runs that we could take away. I have no idea. I'm not going to go through all these games and look for long runs. Iowa State. These guys, there were like 3 guys. I put them together because there wasn't one main guy, so I just put 3 guys together. Baylor, Texas A&M. All right, so taken as a group, and I'm sure there's some long runs in here you can take away. Taken as a group, though, I think this shows that you can run on Kansas State. They're not untouchable. They're not the best defense in football. It's fair. It's a fair opportunity to run on Kansas State. But he got like 20 carries, and he produced 50 yards on those 20 carries. So it's 2.5 yards a carry. That's not that great. But he did have 2 big runs for touchdowns. So he had the 35-yarder in the middle of the game we looked at, where he made that guy miss. And he had this last play here for 40 yards with the 8 offensive linemen. So that adds like 75, 76 yards to his tally. And all of a sudden it looks good. It looks like Donta Foreman stats. He got, 22 carries, I think, for 126 yards or something and 2 touchdowns. Due to 2 long touchdown runs and 20, fairly ineffective runs on average. Okay, so over here, his first 7 games he played were against fairly decent, defenses. His last 4 games were these 4 teams here. All right. So in terms of yards per carry allowed, out of 128 teams, here's where they ranked. So California was dead last in terms of yards per carry allowed, right? And they gave up 273 yards per game on the ground on average. Rice, bottom 10, Oregon, bottom 10, bottom 15 for Oregon State. There's 4 teams here. 3 Pac-12s, I think Conference USA. 3 of these guys are like bottom 10 worst in yards per carry allowed, in that particular metric. And a bottom 15 team. And here are the yards on the ground they averaged every week. So here's what McCaffrey did against those 4 teams to close out the year. He had 110 carries, about 30 carries a game almost. He started out against 7 teams. He got 800 yards against those 7 teams and 5 touchdowns. Now, he had a couple receiving touchdowns, but rushing, he had 5 touchdowns in 7 games. And 800 yards. But against these 4 teams, he added 800 yards. He doubled his rushing yardage. Added 8 more touchdowns to get up to 13 touchdowns rushing. And here's his yards per carry. Very good. Well, these are 4 of the worst rushing defenses in football right here. If any other running back, like a Leonard Fournette or whoever, were to have a schedule like this, they would run for 3,000 yards. I mean, Fournette ran against Mississippi, okay? They're ranked 118 out of 128, which is very comparable to these teams here. He ran for 284 yards and 3 touchdowns on only 16 carries, which is freaking insane. That is insane production right here, right? When he runs against teams like this, that's what he puts up. I mean, nobody else gets the benefit of this kind of schedule. These other running backs we're talking about have to play SEC, Big Ten teams. There were some guys on a pod ripping Fournette because he got shut down by Alabama. Alabama is the best run defense in the country. Alabama, I think, gives up an average of, I want to say it was like 64 yards a game, whereas the next 2 closest teams give up like 97, 98 yards, right? Those are the 3 teams. There's 3 teams that give up under 100 yards rushing. And Alabama just shuts everybody down. We don't we don't know what McCaffrey does against Alabama because he doesn't have to play Alabama, right? He doesn't have to play any of these legit defenses. He basically doubled his production against 4 of the worst teams in college football as far as like rush defense. So I looked at how many carries does it take to get a touchdown. And what I did is I subtracted these 8 touchdowns. I just looked at the first 7 games against like legit, or average teams. And it took him 29 carries to get 1 touchdown, right? So for every 1 touchdown, it was 29 carries through the first 7 games. I wanted to look at 2015 for a couple of these guys. So I also looked at 2015 for McCaffrey to be fair. And it turned out to be worse, right? So every touchdown was 42 carries if you subtract out bottom 15 rush defenses in terms of this metric. So it's 30 to 40, let's say, 30 to 40 carries for every touchdown for the, elite best running back in the class, top 10 guy, blah, blah. Well, for Fournette, I guess he had a sprained ankle or whatever last year, a small sample of games. I looked at 2015 for Fournette. It took him 16 carries for every touchdown. That's like double the rate of McCaffrey. Dalvin Cook, here's his 2 years here. Last year was 19 carries for a touchdown. The previous year, 13. He averaged that out to 16. That's the same as Fournette. Identical and double the rate of McCaffrey. Gallman, who nobody even talks about, 14 carries for every touchdown. Connor, who, I'm kind of skeptical about in the pros, 14 carries for every touchdown. Kamara, small sample. I think he had, I don't remember if it was like 100 carries. It was kind of a low carry total. But on that low total, it was 11 carries per touchdown, which is like maybe triple the McCaffrey rate, right? Here's what Stephon Taylor and Tyler Gaffney did in that offense with that schedule. So Taylor got 28 carries per touchdown, which is almost identical to McCaffrey's rate last year in that same offense with that same conference. Tyler Gaffney was much, much better at 16, which is similar to these guys. I mean, all these guys were just crushing McCaffrey 2 to 3 times his touchdown rate, and he's supposed to be the best running back. I mean, he added some receiving touchdowns. That's his whole shtick, is he gets receiving, production. He gets return production. But if you draft him in the first round, if you want him to be a 3-down back, are you going to make him your returner on top of that? And I don't really think so. I think the return game is kind of irrelevant, and I appreciate his receiving game, but you can get guys who can catch footballs. So, some of these guys who are getting drafted catch footballs. It's not like he's the only guy who can catch a football in the entire class. So anyway, I think that about does it for hashtag EOMFilm. I'm a little skeptical that anybody is still watching, but if you are, sorry this ran so long, and thanks very much for watching.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.